Hello everyone. So in this video, I wanted to go over the assignment that is due this coming Sunday, and I wanted to get you guys started on the assignment. There are three parts to the assignment, but you're only required to do three problems. So three problems are there, but you're only required to do two. So you got to pick which one do you want to do. There's one with the for loop, the one with I think while loop, and the last one is the do while loop. So whichever you're comfortable with, do that assignment. And they're not that hard assignments. They're easier to understand. But if you make it complicated, then it'll be a little complicated assignment. So we'll do the exercise one, not the whole thing part, maybe half of it together, and that'll get you guys started and get you guys thinking how to finish this assignment. Okay. So they want to create a time machine simulator, and they want you to use like a scanner class to ask the user for some input. So they have two questions in there. Would you like to travel to the future or the past? That's how they would enter it. And how many years would you like to travel into the future? If it's future, if it's past, then you get asked how many travel years you get asked in years in the past. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen for my IntelliJ. Um, right. Right. All right. So we have something like this. And the first thing, obviously, we need a scanner. We need an input from the user. So I'm going to go and add that in there. So we need a scanner to ask user for their input. So I'm going to create a scanner, and the input is going to be coming from system.in. System.in is just this right here, the console. And I'm going to call this scanner.center. All right. Excuse me. What else? So we need some kind of welcome message. So I'm going to declare that in there. So I'm going to do out.println, and I'm going to say welcome. Obviously, you can make that up, whatever you want. Welcome to the time machine simulator. Something like this. All right. And one thing we can do, depending on how you approach this, you do not have to follow this path. If you have a different path, that is okay. We need to define which year we're in right now. So we can go and define that year in here. So let's say int current year. Let's go ahead and do 2023. So that, excuse me, I feel like I'm losing my voice. So that's the current year, and we can define it here. And depending on if they want to go in the future or the past, excuse me, we have to minus those years from the current year or add those years to the current years. So depending on how you approach this problem. Excuse me. All right, so now next thing we need, we gotta ask the user if they want to travel in the future or to the past. We can go ahead and do that. So we can do system dot out dot println, and then we do you want to travel to the future or the past? Something like this, right? And right after this, user is going to be entering something, so we need to cache that. So we can do string travel direction, right? So that would be future or past. And then you would do travel direction equals to scanner dot next, and that would capture the whole word they enter, either future or past, and you can capture it this way. The other thing you can do, I know I'm going back and forth here, you can tell the user what year we're in right now. So we can do println we or you are currently in current year. We don't need to add a year in there. Just you're currently in 2023, something like this. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So now we have the travel direction. We know where we want to go. We know we are at current year right now. That's 2023. And now this is where we need to divide this up. One code we need for future, one we need for the past. So we can do if, let's do travel direction dot equals to future. So this would be the future, and then else would be the past. So this is the past. If it's not future, it's the past. At this point, I'm actually trusting the user. They type in future or past, or they don't actually type something else in, like monkey, and then even if they type in monkey, it'll go into the else part. We don't have a check for that. We can write a check for it here if you wanted to. We can just do else, so just like this, travel direction equals to past. Why am I getting red line? There you go. Oh, sorry. Else if, sorry. Forgot to add that in there. All right. Excuse me. So now this is for past, this is for the future, like this one. And now this future, remember, depending on what they pick, we gotta ask them we gotta ask them the question, enter the number of years you want to travel to the future. So we can go and add that in there, system.out.println, and how many years do you want to travel to the future? Excuse me. I'm going to copy the same question. I'm going to add that in there for the past. Just like this. So remember, we divide this up because there's going to be different calculations for future and different for past. We need one we need to subtract and one we need to add, depending on where we want to go. So for the future, let's do the future, and I'll leave the past to you. The future, we're going to do, as soon as we ask a question, we got to cache their input. So we're going to be doing years to travel, something like this, and that would equal to scanner dot next int. Remember that year that's coming in, that's going to be an integer, the user, whatever the user types in, and that integer is, we're going to use that number to run our loop, right? So now before we run the loop, we got to tell them we're initiating. So we are initializing time travel to the future. Something like this, right? So you can copy the example that I have in the assignment, these wording, or you can make that up. That is totally up to you. So now let's go through the code and see what's happening. So we have the scanner class, we have current year 2023, we have some kind of message we are displaying to the user, and then we're asking the user for the direction. Where do you want to go? As soon as you have direction, we have one for future, one for past. And in the future, we're asking the user how many years are you going to travel into the future. And then as soon as we have that, we're displaying a message to the user. And after that, we're going to run the loop that many times. So running the loop is easy. We have for, we're going to be running for loop, for int I, we're going to start at 1. You can start at 0, that's okay, but I'm going to start at 1, and we're going to go to I is less than or equal to, in this case, years to travel. And we're going to do I plus plus. Okay. So now we have a for loop. And that for loop starts at 1 and runs that many times, whatever the user enters. And inside the loop, what we're going to do is we're going to increment, we're going to do current year plus plus, right? So every time we go into the future 1 year, that current year goes into 2024, then 25, 26, and all that, depending on which year we at. And now, this is where it gets interesting. So you got to display a message to the user to define which era you are at. So era means, let's say in 2023, we are 2023, and let's say we have 2030, right? You got to display a message if it's 2030. Then you get to display another message if it's 2040. You got to display another message 2050, and you got to come up with a message what is happening in that year. So and you got to, the message has to be different. So if you are familiar with the switch statement, you can use that. If you don't want to use a switch statement, that's fine. You can use the if statement, and you can set an if statement. You say current year equals to 2040. No, let's do 31st, 2030. If that is the case, right? So we keep incrementing the year. Once we get to 2030, we're going to display a message, and that message is going to be system.out.println, and in year 2030, we only have electric cars, something like this, right? Sorry, got the year wrong. Then we can do else if current year equals 2040. Then we can do system.out.println, and then we can do in year 2040, all humans are robots, something like this, right? And then you can make up 50, then 60 if you wanted to. You can keep going, but we'll just keep it at this right now, all right? And then as soon as you're so this is the future and this is the past, and after you're done with the for loop, right there, you want to display a message to the user, right? So you display the message after the for loop. Remember, the for loop ends here, ending for loop. So you're going to display a message to the user, system.out.println, you have arrived in the future. Use your time wisely. Something like that, right? I'm just making these messages up. Right? So now this is pretty much all you need for the future, and you need to add something similar for the past. So we haven't tested this out yet, and so let's test that out. I'm gonna run it, and it's running. Yes, so we can see it's running because we have a stop button right here, and it's waiting for me to enter something. So it says, do you want to travel to the future or the past? So I'm going to go to enter future. And as soon as I do that, I go inside this if statement and start running this code right here. And I get this message, how many years do you want to travel to the future? Let's do 30 years. We'll type in 30, hit enter. It says initializing time travel to the future. And year 30, we only have electric cars. In year 40, all humans are robots. And if we had a 51, I think that would come in here as well. And you have arrived in this future and use your time wisely. One thing you can do is you don't have to, if you wanted to make this interesting, this should be good enough. There is a method you can use, so you can do thread.sleep. And this class, what this does is sleep puts your program to sleep. So once the program is running, you'll see that it's taking like however milliseconds we define here. That's how many seconds it's taking to sleep right here. So let's see what it's saying. So it's asking me to add this exception to the method. I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. But thread sleep is going to sleep every cycle in the for loop is going to sleep for 10,000 milliseconds. So I think that's about 1 second, right? Yeah. I'm going to run it, and I'm going to say future, and I'm going to say 30 years, and then I'm going to take some time to get to 2030. And it'll take about what 7 seconds. And so in year 2030, we only have electric cars. Then it's going to take 10 more seconds to get to 2040 right here, and we're going to get that message. And then it's going to complete the loop that many times, and every cycle of the loop, it's going to sleep for that many milliseconds. You don't have to add that in there. This is optional, but just to make it interesting. All right. So yeah, let's do something similar for the past one, and then you have to do one more exercise. If you have any questions, concerns, obviously let me know, and thank you.